408. Project Risk Management. Which of the following describes the Delphi technique that is used to identify risk during the project risk management stage? A. It runs off a simulation that is based on probability distribution. B. It is based on the information and knowledge amassed from the past. The assumed risk thought up in advance is summarized into a list which is then compared with the possible risk in the current project in order to identify the risk. C. A group of people gathered and without criticizing each other's idea, they come up with ideas together. So that's a group of people and they work together. And D. Opinions and views are collected anonymously from a pool of specialists, then summarized. This is then redistributed and the process repeats itself several times in order to identify the risk. So we have a pool of specialists. Let us see which one of these is the best description of the Delphi technique, which is used to identify risk during the project risk management stage. In order to do so, let us look at each answer in turn and go into further detail. Option A was about using probability. It's about working with a large amount of data using probability distribution or random numbers as simulation and numerical analysis in order to identify the risk. This is known as the Monte Carlo method. It's called Monte Carlo because Monte Carlo is a famous casino in Monaco, and this method is using probabilities and random numbers, which is also involved in playing the casino. In other words, it's almost like rolling the dice to see what the risk would be. Option B is working with the information and knowledge amassed from similar past projects. The past information is checked against the list of assumed risk prepared in advance. So this is all about looking at the past, learning from history. Now this is known as checklist analysis. And so identifying the risk through looking at the past and the past information and checking against the list of assumed risk prepared in advance is the checklist analysis. The third option we had was the project team and a group of external specialists would exchange their views and opinions freely to combine their knowledge. So you have a team combining their knowledge in identifying the potential risks that exist within the project. This is simply known as brainstorming. Okay, so it is not the Delphi technique. None of these three have been the Delphi technique. The first one has been the Monte Carlo method. The second one is checklist analysis. And the third one is brainstorming. Let us look at the last option then. Opinions and views are collected anonymously from a pool of specialists and then summarized. So we're collecting anonymously from a pool of specialists and then summarizing. This is then redistributed and the process repeats itself several times in order to identify the risk. This is the definition of the Delphi technique. So the Delphi technique of risk identification is when you are pooling anonymously from a collection of specialists and summarizing, and then redistributing and repeating the process several times, and that helps identify the risk in your project. So that is Delphi technique. So we can see that the answer was indeed choice D.